Floppy Loppy people, watch this video. Hello, welcome to the West Ham Network. I hope you're all well. So are any West Ham fans happy right now with the current state of play? I dare say not many, if any at all. Now, we're 10 games in, couple of wins, couple of draws here and there, but mostly losses. And the manner in which we've been playing in most games hasn't been good. In fact, I could probably put one performance down, which was kind of exciting for us. But apart from that, most of it has been mediocre or absolutely terrible. Now, I could go on a big rant here and start coming up with expletive here and expletive there. But let's face it, we all know what these players are playing like. Most of them are out of form. A lot of them probably shouldn't even be on the pitch half the time. But there's one thing to analyse the players' performances, which they've got to take a lot of responsibility for. But you've also got to look at the manager. The manager that we have employed as West Ham United is not doing the business. I always say that you got to give a manager at least a minimum 10 games into the season to start to create an identity and to start showing the fans, okay, this is our intention. This is the way we want to play. The only thing that he's shown us in terms of the way he wants to play is to improve possession. But what we've done is just improve possession in certain games, not in all games, in certain games, but we've got nothing else going for us. In that, we are weak in midfield, we're usually terrible at the back, and we're non-existent up front. One of the biggest mistakes that I thought at the time, but I didn't say anything, I kept it to myself, I kept my own counsel, shouldn't be making Jarrod Bowen captain. I thought it was a bit of a bad move. Not anything against Bowen, of course, because I think he's a fantastic player, but this season, it just hasn't worked for him, you know, on the whole. Yeah, a couple of performances here and there, a couple of goals here and there, but for the most part, he's been underperforming. The whole team has been underperforming under Lopetegui. So you can't just say it's Bowen's fault. The whole team's been a bit of a sham. Now, there's been another thing that's been griping as well, is Lopetegui's insistence on picking Paqueta. With all the things that's going on with him, you know, in terms of these investigations that are going on, and he's not been playing well for the majority of the season. I'm not sure what we're playing and why is this insistence to start with him. Now, I know, of course, we want our flair players to, you know, be selected and to show us, you know, that expansive way of football. But Lopetegui's not giving us that kind of football, and the players aren't delivering it, and certain players who we think should be delivering just aren't delivering. So why are we picking them? Why are we persisting with this same game plan? Look, if you put us back to the summer, we were all kind of getting really excited. New manager that we didn't really know much about. We kind of had our feelings about him. But we thought, oh, hold on a minute, the signings that we're making, and he's saying the right things, then, hey, you know what? We should do all right. We should do quite well this season. Then as we start to play the games, and you think, oh, blimey, this looks a lot like Pellegrini's era. And yeah, lots of people in talking about that now. And I was saying this a few weeks ago, saying this looks a lot like the Pellegrini era. Spent a lot of money in the summer. We all got excited. Then it all started to fade away quite quickly. This seems exactly what's happening to Lopetegui. None of us are shiny, happy people right now. I was at the game last weekend against Manchester United, and look, most people would agree, if you watch the game, whether you're at the stadium, whether you're watching it, you know, on a stream somewhere, that we were pretty shocking. In fact, the first half, we should have been 4-5, 6-0 down easily. In fact, in the stands, we were all kind of laughing our heads off. I couldn't believe that Man United missing those chances. And the penalty decision right at the end, well, let's face it, we more than got away with that one. Now, swings and roundabouts, yeah, we lose quite a few decisions against us and some go our way as well. But in terms of objectively looking at that, that was a terrible decision. Fundamentally, we should have lost the game, right? If they'd had their shooting boots on, we would definitely got trounced in that game. And there's quite a few other games this season that, you know, we deserved to lose, or we could have lost in those draws as well. For me, Lopetegui's come in, and we've had a few injuries to deal with, or he's had a few injuries to deal with. But fundamentally, the team doesn't have an identity. The squad doesn't have an identity. We don't seem to know which way we want to play. Are we trying to play around midfield? Are we trying to play possession-based football? Are we trying to play it out the back? Are we trying to mix it up? Are we trying to hit the wings? What are we doing? What are we doing? Because actually, I look at the game, and most of the time, I'm thinking, right, okay, we're not giving the ball away a lot as we used to, but we're not doing anything with it either. Now, In the final third, that's where all the magic happens, right? You can lead a horse to water, but at the end of the day, it's got to drink the bloody water, right? You can take your missus out for a drink, you can take your girlfriend out for a meal, but ideally, you want a little bit more and you want to get past third base, if you know what I mean. It's exactly the same here. We might be trying to improve our situation in terms of possession-based football, in terms of playing through the lines, but when it gets past the halfway line, when it gets past our midfield, if we do get past our midfield, we're just not there. We're not at the races. Yes, Kudus has had some really decent spells in certain games. Bowen, not so much. Antonio, every now and again, I thought, oh, okay, he's working hard, he's doing all right. But there isn't a plan up there. There isn't a plan to say, you stay there and we'll get the ball to you. You stay there out on the wing, you stay out on the left, you do your bit, and then we'll get the ball to you, and there's no high press and there's no fast pace in going forward. There seems to be a lot of uncertainty in the team, not only in defence, but in midfield, but certainly going forward as well. Now, I'm not saying I'm the greatest tactician in the world. I'm certainly not saying I'm the best coach in the world. Far from it. I'm a fan just like anybody else. But when you can see there's a problem in not only the way we're holding the ball, but distributing the ball and getting the ball forward, then regardless of what the other team does, we're always going to be under pressure. Now, sometimes we manage to hold our own. A lot of the times, we're very, very lucky. And most of the time, we're found out. So now we're 10 games into the season. As I say, this is where I start to judge a manager. And I'll say, right, what have you given me so far? What have you told me? What is your plan that I can see in full effect? And that's it. There isn't much of a plan there. There isn't much of a plan in getting results, improving performances, and most importantly, exciting the crowd. We don't have that right now. So we play against a team who has a high energy game, who use the width, have a front man, who battle in midfield, are resolute in defence, and we come unstuck very, very quickly. If Man United were at the races last weekend, they would have stuffed us 4 or 5-0, 6-0 easily. Other teams this season could have done us by 4 or 5 goals as well. In other games, we've been totally nowhere in the first half. Then we started to come into our own in the second half. But by that time, the second half, the game might already be lost. Or we're just chasing our tails, or we're just chasing after a game. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to start slow. It's not good enough to not have a plan. And it's bloody not good enough to have no idea of how to engage your strikers. Now, granted, had some poor performances and had some individual performances at below par and had some injuries to deal with. I get all that. But the plan isn't working. When the fans start revolting, when the fans are looking around each other and thinking, what the hell are we watching here? Where are we going to get a result? Where are we going to get a win? Where are we going to get a performance? Then you know you're in trouble. And it's not just players, and it's not just the manager and the coaching staff. It also goes all the way up into the boardroom as well. This is one of those times where you got to take a long, hard look at yourselves and say, what are we actually doing? What are we actually delivering? Because what we're delivering just ain't good enough. It's not glitzy football. It's not entertaining football. We're not making the fans happy, whether you're at the stadium or watch it on TV or whatever you're watching it from. It's limp-wristed, it's lethargic football, and it's just not good to watch. And ultimately, it's not getting us any result. We are in the era of floppy loppy football. That's it. It ain't shiny, it ain't happy, it's just floppy loppy football. So much so now, if I'm not at a game, if I'm watching it on TV, if I'm watching it on a computer screen or something like that, whereas before, let's say I'll be at home and then my nearest and dearest might say to me, oh, can you make me a cup of tea? Can you make me a sandwich or something? I'll say, no, I'm watching football. What's the matter with you? Don't ask me that. I'm watching football. This is important stuff here. Now if she asks me to make her a cup of tea, I'll say, yeah, anything you want, sweetheart. I'll go make you a cup of tea. I'll make you a 3-course meal if you like. I've got no problem with that at all because I'm bored of it. I'm bored of watching it. I know what's coming. I know we're struggling. I know we're not playing well. I'm looking for a distraction to take me away from watching this dross. That's essentially what I'm at right now. It's just not good. It's not good to look at. It's not good to be in the stadium looking at this nonsense, or it's not good to be at home watching it on your computer or whatever, because it's just crap. It's just crap to watch. 10 games in, 1 game before the international break, a decision's got to be made. It's not about the results right now. It's also about the manner in which we're playing, the performances in which we're delivering. Lopetegui is not delivering those. Now, I'm not saying that any team has a God-given right to deliver those performances, but the whole point of bringing in a new manager was to change, was to improve. spent a lot of money in the summer, and there isn't an identity. If Floppy Loppy football was, okay, we're going to be pinging it out to the wings, we're going to be bombing down the wings, and we're going to try and get crosses in, and then you got a Russian Antonio who's going to come in and, you know, fluff his lines, I'd say, okay, at least we know what the identity is. We know that we're going to try and hit the wings, and we're going to try and get crosses in, and we're going to try and flood the box, and hopefully somebody's going to get on the end of it. We know what the game plan is, right? There's none of that. There's none of that. And until he finds a way of playing attractive, attacking football that's going to give us all something to believe in, then he's always going to be under pressure. He's probably got one game left for me. One game against Everton. He needs to do a lot better, not only in terms of result, but also in terms of performance. If he can't deliver that, then basically we've got 2 weeks to get a new manager in. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what West Ham Network do, well, just keep on watching the videos and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again sometime, whenever that is. Ta-da!